Hello, everyone, and welcome to the P1 Broadcasting Network. It's Murph. It's Collins. You know what that means. It's Monday night, and it's time for INDYCARs, sort of, on the P1 Broadcasting Network. And so, for everybody that's out there, and I know that we've got an audience that is awaiting the Indy Open Top Split Week 1 from Long Beach. There seems to be a problem with that, isn't there, Jacob?
Yeah, iRacing hit us with the no session for you on the end of the changeover for maintenance, so we have no open race to show.
So that doesn't mean that we're not going to show some racing tonight. So Jacob and I have decided that we are going to do some bonus coverage instead. You'll notice that the title card has been changed to INDYCAR Series on iRacing bonus coverage. And so the plan for tonight is to still have a broadcast. Jacob and I are going to do something a little bit different. Instead of showing the Indy Open Series, because there is no session, we are going to break into about the first 10 minutes of the Indy Oval Series. That's going to be at California. But we're not going to show the top split, are we, Jacob?
No, we're going to pick one and we're going to spin a wheel. If there's multiple, maybe we throw a dice. We'll figure something out. We're going to show something fun.
We're going to show something fun. So you won't see the normal cast of characters. It will be it'll be a different crew. Maybe some guys that you aren't used to seeing. Give those drivers their due, Jacob. They race just as hard. They prepare just as hard. They may not have the I rating that some of the drivers that we're used to have, but they are just as awesome and deserve the recognition as well. So we're going to showcase them, and then at 8:30 we are going to flip. So you'll see the coverage will begin shortly. Screen flip back. We'll leave the mics open, and we're going to join the Indy Next Series fixed oval. That's from Iowa, and Jacob is really excited about that because Jacob is bringing you the entire Indy Next Road and Oval Series. Why don't you tell the people about that, Jacob?
Yeah, so the next car is kind of the top of the Road to Indy ladder, and that's kind of built my iRacing career, so I was really eager to get that on the air on the P1 channel to try to give it a spotlight, because it's important, I think, to show that we've got some great racing throughout the American Open Wheel ladder, and it kind of pinnacles at the next series. So we'll have that at 10 p.m. Eastern tonight from Laguna Seca, and then tomorrow night we'll be back at Iowa for the top split at, I believe it's 9:30 Eastern time tomorrow.
Now, if you want to see something really comical, and I know that there are some of our viewers out there that do enjoy a nice comedy act, Jacob, I'm going to take part in the Road Series as well as the Ovals. So I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. My broadcast partner is going to show him. If he can talk, I can drive, right, Jacob?
That's the hope.
And by me driving on a road course, we're going to use that very loosely. But we do hope to see everybody here at 10 o'clock tonight. Also, just so you're aware, we do have the Onyx Racing League. They're going to be doing a Lotus 79 series. Jacob, our good friend Gary Gotzo is going to have that one at 9:05. They're running Lotus 79s tonight. And, buddy, they're going to do them old school. They're going to go on the oval. They're going to take those cars oval
Homestead,
racing.
Miami.
Yeah, so Homestead, Miami. Then next week they're going to go to Watkins Glen, New Hampshire, Legacy, Michigan. Man, that'll be fun. Worldwide Technology Raceway, so that's Gateway on October 13th. Laguna Seca. They're going to take those cars to Motegi. And then Iowa Road America and Auto Club to close out the schedule. Now, I will be running that series once the time changes on Monday night when we go to a 7 o'clock start for the Open Top Split. I'll have a chance to race those. But looking forward to running on the road courses, man.
Yeah, we've got a pretty solid lineup, too.
I'm sure we do. So what is the schedule for that series, Jacob, for the roadside?
Yeah, so we're kicking off the week 1 at Laguna Seca, and then we'll go to Long Beach for week 2. Then to the classic Spa-Francorchamps for week 3. We'll take on VIR week 4, Portland week 5, followed by the Red Bull Ring, the road course at Indianapolis, Alton Park, Suzuka, Lime Rock Park, Barber, and Sebring will round out the season. a lot of good quality American tracks in there mixed with some international favorites. So it'll be a great time for people to get accustomed to the car, and hopefully we see some good turnout.
Not only that, but Jacob is a glutton for punishment, so he's going to broadcast the IL-15 fixed oval series as well. That's going to come to us when, Jacob?
Tomorrow at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, so kind of following the Oval Fixed broadcast.
Yeah, it'll be following the Oval Fixed broadcast. Hopefully I get to make these two. That series is going to go to Iowa, then Charlotte, and Texas. They're going to have Richmond, Dover, Nashville, one that's going to make everybody's head spin, North Wilkesboro. Gateway is on there. Then they're going to go to Atlanta, the Good Phoenix, so Legacy Phoenix, Kansas Speedway, and they're going to round out the season at Homestead, Miami. And those races are all pretty short. The mile and a halves are 45 laps. And so you're looking at what, maybe a 30-minute race, Jacob?
Yeah, we're thinking it's probably going to be an overall session of around 30, 35 minutes, probably depending on the track and how long the laps are, cautions, etc.
Most certainly. So do want to welcome Julian Altena, Tion Walker, Clindy's mom, Paula. So good to see you in Chicago, Paula. We are currently in a holding pattern because we don't have a session. They did not create the 8 o'clock sessions, and so just a reminder, we're going to do some bonus coverage tonight. We're going to show a little bit of a second or third or fourth or ninth split, or however many guys go in the Indy Oval Series, and then we're going to pivot and show the inaugural Indy Next race from Iowa Speedway. Also, just to note for everybody out there, we can hone our road skills together. I need something to help my road skills. Maybe a brick drop on my head or something. I am a terrible road racer. But we are going to we're then going to do the Iowa race, the inaugural Indy Next Iowa race at 8:30, and then we're gonna sign off. And Jacob will bring you the Indy Next top split at 10. I am going to just to let everybody know. I know that we're missing our Indy Open broadcast just because maintenance didn't get done quite in time, so there was no 8 o'clock session. I will be bringing you the European SOF time slot. That will take place Saturday at 2 Eastern, and so I will bring you the race Saturday at 2 Eastern. Don't know if Jacob can make it. Don't know if we'll have some support in the booth, but we will definitely do that as well. Just as a reminder, we are waiting on the Indy Fixed Oval Series to start. We're going to bring you some bonus coverage of that. Not a top split. And then Jacob and I are going to pivot and show you the inaugural Indy Next Oval Series race from Iowa. Doesn't that sound like fun, Jacob?
It's gonna be a blast, man. I'm really liking. We got to try out the Indy Next car at Iowa over week 13, and it's gonna be racy. I think there's genuinely 3 raceable lanes, even on that new pavement scan of Iowa that we've got. So it should be a good old-fashioned barn burner by the end of it, I hope.
It should. I do have high hopes for Auto Club. 124 cars are signed in for that one, Jacob. Not only that, but there's already 67 people signed in for the Iowa Speedway Oval race. How about that? We haven't seen.
Yeah, it's looking good for an opening week for that car, especially given that it's brand new and it's something that's different for pretty much everybody on the service to try out.
It most certainly is. We're waiting on the Indy Oval Series to show up. Once that does, we're going to bring you the Oval Series race, or at least part of one. It will be a middle or bottom split. We are not going to bring the top split because that's Gary Godso's territory. He's going to have that one tomorrow at 8:15 Eastern, and then we're going to pivot to the Indy Next Oval Series. That's going to happen at about 8:30. We'll show that race, and then Jacob and I will skedaddle. Jacob is going to have the Indy Next Road Series top split at 10, correct?
Yes.
10 p.m. tonight. That launches off. You can also get your fill between 9 and 10. Gary Godso is going to have the Onyx Racing League Lotus 79 series. That's going to be 9:05, and that is coming to you live from Homestead. If you want to see what it used to be like in the late 70s, Jacob, that's your opportunity, buddy.
Yeah.
Haha.
Now what we really need is them to go even further back and do Lotus 49 so that we can get like the 60s or 50s experience, right?
You know what's funny, Jacob? I raced in Chad Frankenfield in his Elite Racing League during the dark times, as we call them. We weren't able to do Indy cars, and so Chad, we did a season of Lotus 49s, and that was a ton of fun, man. I enjoyed that quite a bit. And then, of course, we did a season of radio-style broadcasts where they showed the track map and they had people describing the action. They had pictures of the cars that would pop up, but no live video. And then by the time we got that all sorted out, Jacob, well, it was time to get the license back, and so we didn't have to find an ersatz solution again. I'm telling you what, man, I'm pumped about this new season. There are still... Okay, there are 5 race sessions. The top split is 48.78, 32.66 in the second split, 23.02 in the third, 17.79 in the fourth, and the bottom split 12.23. What do you say, Jacob, we go to that second split? That would have qualified as a top split not too long ago, buddy.
It would have qualified as a top split not too long ago, and I'd imagine that a lot of drivers we might even recognize at this point, at that stage in the game.
All right, so we're going to get it loaded in. I do want to thank everybody so much for your patience. This is kind of an audible situation. It's definitely one that we don't. It's definitely one that we had thought about, and so we're most certainly going to show you some different. We're most certainly going to show you some different people. I'm looking at the entry list here. This is not a slouch of a field. Alan Morea, Blaze Andrich are in here. Casey Pahutsky, Daniel the Cat, well-known driver. Jesse Walker, Jim Wallen is here. Michael Newcomer, Ryan Cass. There are a ton of solid drivers in this field, Jacob.
Yeah, a lot of recognizable names, and that's usually a good sign for a strong week on the series. I know coming straight out the gate on a new season is usually as good as the comment's going to get. So
it most certainly is. This is a big time field, and again, we're only going to show this race for a few minutes, and then we're going to flip over to the Indy next oval race at Iowa. We'll show you the top split there, and then we'll kind of do that. We'll get out of here, and then Jacob will have the Indy next race at Laguna Seca at 10 o'clock. Just waiting for the session to load in. Appreciate everybody's patience. I feel kind of under pressure here, Jacob. I never have to do this like with the audience live, right?
Well, you know, it makes it a lot more interesting to peek behind the curtains every once in a while, don't you know?
You know, it does. It most certainly does. It's an interesting thing. All right. And we have got live pictures. This is coming to you from the California Speedway, Fontana, the place that no longer exists. Jacob, we've got pictures. We do want to thank Whiplash SimCams for those pictures. Do want to thank everybody for joining us, sticking with us. It's Murph and it's Collins. We're going to do some bonus coverage tonight. The session did not launch for the Indy Open Series due to maintenance, and so we're going to do a little bit of bonus coverage. We're going to show a little bit of the second split here in the Indy here for the Indy Oval Series, and then at 8:30 we're going to head right on down to Iowa for the inaugural Indy Next Oval Series race. All right, Jacob. We've got graphics. We've got a timing screen right now. We've got qualifying, and Isaac Smith currently has the fastest lap, 217.353 miles an hour. Travis Prather is second. Jack Fletcher third. Tyler Villamere is fourth. Now, if you'll notice, with 2 minutes left, there's only 4 cars that have taken time, friends. Jacob, why do you think that could be?
Well, I'd imagine some of the cars are probably either not going to set times, as this is a track that tends to be able to stay draft heavy. You know, you could kind of stay deeper in the field and work your way forward without too much issue. And, there might be a number of guys also trying to get those engine temperatures up, maybe want to get some heat into the tires or kind of sliding and scrubbing around. So people are just taking their sweet time. They give them 5 minutes. They're going to use that 5 minutes for all it's worth.
You know, there is a very specific way that you can prepare these cars to get into the setup window or to get into the go fast window. And a lot of these drivers do know how to do that, Jacob. And that does take a little bit of time at the front end of the session. We are now a minute 30 away. Let's see if we've got a car on the track. Let's take a look at Blaze Andrich. And there's Blaze. He's going along the front straightaway. 218 miles an hour is what Blaze starts off at. And there's the Rogue Racing entry as he comes down the backstretch. That's a good-looking hot rod you got, Blaze, in there, my man.
Well, that's all Kyle's doing. He's the one that kind of came up with our paint templates, and people kind of just picked the colors that they wanted on it. So Kyle does a great job with those.
He does. Here's a look we don't normally show. This is what you see when you drive one of these cars right here. This is the gyro cam, but really this looks out of the helmet, Jacob.
Yeah, you kind of get the idea of just how banked some of these tracks are when you're able to ride along at this angle, right? You see the car kind of skew relative to the level playing field that is the earth with how high up some of the banks are here.
You know, it most certainly is. This also gives you a wonderful view of just how little you can see as we ride along with Blaze Andrich. A lot of these in-car camera views that you see, especially they don't really give you the whole story of just how little you can look at, how little you can see out of these cars. Again, we are bonus coverage. We're doing bonus coverage here at California, awaiting the 8:30 Indy Next race from Iowa. We're gonna give the second splitters their due on the pole. You just watched it. Blaze Andrich, 218.633 miles an hour. Cameron Emerson will start alongside on the outside of the front row. Jack Fletcher and Ryan Watcher, they're gonna go from positions 3 and 4. Kyle Frieden, Tyler Villamere will start 5th and 6th. Kevin Crotty, Christian Benevuto, 7th and 8th. Isaac Smith and Jared Wakefield will go 9th and 10th. In 11th, it is Casey Pahutsky. Now, there's a familiar name. Travis Prather will go 12th. Oliver Samunu 13th. Daniel Durazo 14th. Ellis Spice 15th. Then Alan Morea, Cody Grummel, Michael Newcomer, Leo Salvador, Jose Solis Jr. back to 20th. Now, from Durazo on back from Daniel the Cat back. 14th on, did not take time. Rounding out the field, Jim Wallen, Jesse Walker, Steven Sherman, and Ryan Cass. And there we go, Jacob. So we should be able to show about the first 8 laps of this or so, correct?
Somewhere in that neighborhood, it would be my guess. You know, the next session will come up in about 5 minutes. They'll have their own practice and qualifying. We can get a couple laps in here at the Fontana.
Yeah. So we'll be able to show probably the first 10 laps, maybe 15 or so. I do want to thank everybody for sticking with us. This is bonus coverage of the INDYCAR Series on iRacing. This is the Indy Oval Series. We're going to show the second split for just a little bit. We'll leave the top split for Gary Godso and crew tomorrow night, but we'll show the second split. Give these drivers their due. Blaze Andrich is on the pole. He's got Cameron Anderson on the outside, then Fletcher, Watcher, Frieden, Villamere, Crotty, Benavuto, Isaac Smith, and Jared Wakefield. And some of these names, Jacob, are names that our fans should recognize because some of these drivers do break into the top split from time to time.
I was sleeping.
Yeah, we'll see a number of these guys kind of turn out for the INDYCAR iRacing Series when that's active, because those tend to have bigger fields, and the iRating split is a bit further apart there, just given that less people tend to run those longer races. So it's nice to see these guys get an opportunity to get a bit of airtime that's outside of the kind of the long big shows.
You know, it most certainly is, and definitely appreciate everybody sticking with us, everybody joining us. I know that they're tuning in, looking for Long Beach due to system maintenance. Sometimes those first sessions after a new build don't launch. That was the case this week, and so we're going with bonus coverage of the second split. We're going to have a few laps here from California, then we're going to break away, and we're going to bring you the inaugural Indy Lights or Indy Next race from Iowa. Pace car is going to pull it on off. Barney's got the green flag in the air. Blaze Andrich hits the loud button, and we are racing at Fontana. This again is the second split.
Yeah, Blaze wasting no time to kind of launch away from the field. We'll see how fast the field will kind of reel him back in, because as is kind of expected, the draft will play a big factor here, as it always does.
You know, it most certainly will, and you got to wonder, Blaze Andrich is one of the more experienced drivers in this field. Of course, Andrich is often with us in the Indy Open top split races. As car on the wall, that is Jack Fletcher, kind of got wide coming off of turn 3. He'll make a tap on the outside retaining wall. That's going to let Ryan Watcher go through. But Blaze Andrich also is a member of a pretty powerful oval racing squad, is he not?
Yeah, I mean, the Rogue Racing team kind of built their empire, if you will, on the Oval Fix series. So we tend to have a bit more of a strong suit or a lean towards the ovals. Oh, we got a yellow.
Yellow, yellow, yellow. Ryan Cass hard in the outside retaining wall. There's Ryan, and we're going to check out what happened to Ryan Cass here. He is the number 23 car in the field. All right, so here's Cass, and I believe the action happens in front of him, Jacob.
That's usually how it goes. It's not super frequent that a car kind of ends up in the wall all on their lonesome.
So that is the car of Cody Grommel. And so we need to have a look at what happened to Cody Grommel. And that is the pink machine. That's Cody. He is the number 5 car here. It's the M&M's. It's the M&M's number 11, which is Leo Salvador to his bottom side. And it looks like Cody he was almost riding the wall there, Jacob.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of those things that happens when you run that higher side sometimes too, right? Is you kind of misjudge just how fast the wall will come back out at you, and once you grab it, you're kind of stuck there. And it slows your car up in a hurry.
Yeah, it does. And the other thing is, it's kind of like it's kind of like glue, that wall out there is. And so Blaze Andrich is your leader under yellow. We'll let these guys go here for another couple of moments, and then we're going to break away and bring you the inaugural Indy Next race from Iowa. That session should be going just about now, should it not, Jacob?
I believe it's putting the servers up as we speak.
Very good. And so there's Blaze Andrich, and we'll go through the field here and give these guys their due. Cameron Emerson in the number 14. You've got Ryan Watcher in the Mobile 1 car. He is currently third. Christian Benavudo is fourth, and there's Christian. The number 17 of Tyler Villamere in the LeBlanc Blue IR18. So there's Tyler. Kyle Frieden in sixth. This is number 24. It could be a good iRating day for Kyle Frieden if he's able to hold that spot, Jacob. Number 24 running sixth in a strong field like this. Isaac Smith is seventh. Casey Pahutsky runs along in eighth. Travis Prather is ninth. And Jose Solis Jr. rounds out your top 10. Olivier Simonu is 11th. Alan Morea, 12th. Michael Newcomer, 13th. Stephen Sherman, 14th. And there's Kevin Crotty in 15th. Jared Wakefield runs 16th in the Lazy Rocket. There's Jack Fletcher, 17th. Jim Wallen, 18th. Jesse Walker, 19th. And Daniel the Cat is 20th. Ellis Spice, 21st. Leo Salvador, 22nd. These cars made pit stops. Cody Grommel is out of the race, and Ryan Cass is no longer in the server. We will bring you the restart, and then we're going to cut away to go to the Indy Next Series race from Iowa.
Yeah, and it looks like that might have got almost 100 entries, as we've got 4 splits there.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. And I know that there's been a ton of excitement around the Indy Next Series in the service. I know that from my perspective, we were talking about this earlier, Jacob, there really was a need for that. The transition from the USF 2000 Pro car to the Indy car itself, that was a pretty steep learning curve, just because the Indy Next cars, or the the Pro 2000 cars, they just didn't have enough power. So you got the feel of sliding around in the corners a little bit, but the speed just wasn't there. And so I know a lot of guys are really excited about having an Indy Lights car where they can kind of hone their oval and their road skills. And we're going to see the top split, the inaugural top split of that, right after this restart goes through. Blaze Andrich is going to lead Cameron Anderson, Ryan Watcher, and Cristiano Benavudo as we head toward the green flag. Barney's going to give it to him. We will stay with this action for a couple of laps, and then it'll be time to jump in the virtual P1 jet. Hopefully Gary Godso paid the fuel bill, Jacob, so that we can get to Iowa.
Well, they might have used some Iowa corn in the jet fuel at this point, so that might help us.
Very good. Good start for Blaze Andrich. He'll lead him away. The field gets pretty strung out here going through turns 1 and 2. And really a great restart. And now you're going to see Cameron Anderson and Blaze Andrich try to play that swap game. Anderson dives to the bottom. He'll take the lead on Blaze Andrich. And you're gonna see Andrich just draft right up behind Cameron Anderson, and it almost looks like Blaze, and we're gonna have to pull it away. But it almost looks like Blaze Andrich just kind of pulled up there, and he's gonna sit back and save some fuel. So again, bonus coverage of the IndyCar Oval Series from Fontana has now concluded. We are going to step away. We will return with the Indy Next Series from Iowa. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the P1 Broadcasting Channel. It's Murph, it's Collins, and we've got bonus coverage of the INDYCAR Series. Now, this is a special race, Jacob.
Yeah, right in the cornfields of Iowa. The opening race for this this series on iRacing.
And this is a top split, and so we are going to bring you the heavies. Jacob, what was the SOF for this one?
3676, I believe. Yes.
Yeah, so that's no for those of you who follow iRacing, that is no slouch for a minor league series, for a minor league race at all. We've got a grid ready for you too. On the pole, it's going to be Peyton Lindsay, Indy Kirkenbauer. Now, there's a name that you'll notice that we know. Indy is going to start in second. James Allen, Dave Mitchell, another familiar name. They're going to go third and fourth. Rob Collier and Raphael Eckert is going to start sixth. Rafi in the number 20. Ryan Turcotte is going to go from seventh. Jeremy McGorry is ninth. There is no eighth. Well, is there an eighth place car?
Keaton Jones.
Yes, Keaton Jones is eighth. For some reason, the part that I read off of had him at the bottom. So Keaton Jones is eighth. Jeremy McGorry ninth. Matt Kaiser, however you want to say it, is going to roll in 10th. 11th, Dylan Wolzaniski. Sorry if we're not saying these right. David Hinger, 12th. Alex Kim, Zach Levitt, Tyler Dixon, Ray Farlow, Thomas Schrage, Rod Eskew, Alexander Stoker, and Alex Crasper round out the top 20. In 21st, Andrew Schwartz, Nick Neben. Familiar streamer is 22nd. Dustin Hardy is 23rd. And Paul Boomershine is going to round out the field. And we are getting ready to go. We are getting ready to go one more time here at the Iowa Speedway in the INDYCAR Series. And I got to tell you, this is a big moment for this community, Jacob.
Yeah, you could go back in the iRacing forums and find guys trying to get this car scanned from at least 4 years ago. So it's been a long time coming to finally get the IL-15 on the service and in action here tonight.
You know, it most certainly is. And I have a feeling that these races are going to be really, really competitive, you know, and they're pretty short. We're looking at a little bit less than a full fuel run for one of the big cars. So these races are really sprints, Jacob. They're going to be white knuckle flat out. You're going to have to really work to get to the front of these things, and you have to do it in a hurry.
Yeah, and this car seems to be very impacted by the in-car tools over the course of the run, so it's something that people got to stay on top of their cars over the full race distance.
Most certainly do. Jacob, we are going to climb up in the flag stand. The pace car is off. Green flag is out, and the INDYCAR Series is here in iRacing. Away they go down the front straightaway into turns 1 and 2. Ryan Turcotte already has a black flag. Jump the start, and look at them fan out, Jacob. They're 5-6 wide in the back.
Yeah, one thing that's noticeable in these cars compared to the big IndyCar is they're not as impacted by dirty air, and you have a lot more of available lanes just given how it gets through the corner. So we'll see a lot of 2x2, 3x3 action in the opening portions of this race.
2x2, 2x2, 2x3, 3x4. We've already got a caution on the speedway. That is Raphael Eckert, hard into the outside retaining wall. Caution is on the speedway. And we got to go back. They were racing 3 and 4 wide back here, and you got to wonder what exactly transpired. That is the number 20 of Eckert, and you can see him wiggle in turns 3 and 4. Does he get the outside wall? He does not. So we're all clean here. 3x3 they go. Eckert falling back. That is some big net code, Jacob.
Yeah, big old ball of net code, and Eckert had nothing more he could do, and there was, I believe, the 15 just gets nowhere left to go, and in the wall they both go.
Yeah, it's that's Jacob Hinger and we're going to see if we can't. Remember, this is all new for us too. But here's a shot from the right front of David Hinger. And there goes Eckert, and you can see just nowhere to go. There's what I was looking for, Jacob. So it's roll bar that you want if you want the classic IndyCar camera. Watch the car from watch the net code here for Raphael Eckert. This is just, it's super big, and we're going to stick with the replay because Jacob, these cars shouldn't make pit stops, should they?
Likely not. I believe I don't know if they have a tire set available to them. It's probably worth me looking. I should know that. But I believe that the intention with this series is that they're not doing any live pit stops in the real world. So these slightly shortened. This race is only 10 laps shorter than a real life next race here at the Iowa Speedway. So I'm not expecting people will take pit stops unless maybe they've got damage or if somehow they can take tires.
You know, the tire situation in these cars in real life, they're pretty hard. The Firestones are on these Indy Lights cars. They do not have live pit crews, and so if you're ever at an Indy Lights race and they need to make a pit stop, Jacob, it's literally one guy with an electric impact wrench that comes over and changes the tires one at a time, and they have hand jacks because these cars do not have air jacks either.
Yeah, they got to do things the old-fashioned way on these lower level series cars to try to keep the cost down. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything on the schedule to indicate that they have additional tire sets, so it might be that they just go out there with the tires they got, and what you got on the car is what you got.
Now that would mirror real life for certain, sure. As we go around here under caution, Indy Kirkenbauer has one of the few cars in the race that has a custom paint scheme on it. He's sporting the colors of Miles Rowe. How about that?
That's become kind of a classic scheme on these ovals this year with him picking up 2 wins too. It's a nice looking car.
You know, it most certainly is, but that's a good look for Indy as he leads the Indy Next Oval Series race. This is the inaugural race in the series. Jacob Collins is going to have this live for you at what time, Jacob?
The Road Series will be 10 p.m. Eastern tonight, and we'll have Oval again on tomorrow night at 9:30 Eastern.
There you go. And so, Road Series 10 o'clock on Mondays, Oval Series 9:30 on Tuesdays, immediately following the top split broadcast. Jacob Collins is going to be a busy man, but I know you're passionate about this car, passionate about the road to Indy, and so it's good to see that. Good to see the passion, Jacob. And we wish you the best with those broadcasts. The green flag is out, and we're going to watch it from the grandstand, Jacob.
Yeah, Kirkenbauer with a good launch off the line there. Spends no time waiting, gets right to the bottom in the corner, which still does seem to be the fast lane around here. But over the course of the run, you can make that kind of the middle lane and the upper lanes work, especially through
Whoa, we've got trouble in the back. Hard in the wall. That's Ray Farlow. Maybe no. Keaton Jones. It is Keaton Jones and Ryan Turcotte. Maybe Keaton Jones, Ryan Turcotte. Let's get back in the Wayback Machine and see what's happened with these two cars. There was a big spin right here, and that's going to be coming off at turn number 2. No, we're going down the straightaway. They were not racing nearly as wildly as they were at the beginning. Everybody had kind of strung out here, Jacob. And what have we got? Turn number 3, around goes the 17, and we've got synchronized spinning. That is Turcotte, or that is Keaton Jones and Turcotte, both around at the same time. Hard impacts for both of them. You see a car there, 2 cars there taking evasive action. That's Nick Neben in the number 8, and I couldn't quite make out the other car. That might have been Jeremy McGorry, but that was synchronized spinning, Jacob.
Yeah, one thing to note is that the iRacing set loads in at 3 bars. Now these have 5 bar clicks on the car, so 1 to 5, and this set wants to load in at 3. Noticeably, very early on in the run, this car is very loose in the corners at speed. So you tend to want to try to get the car tightened up as much as you can to try to prevent that as much as possible and reduce the amount of wheel angle you put into it. So it's very sensitive to the cold tires, and I think that probably caught a couple guys out earlier in this race.
Yeah, it did. There you go. And there you see the synchronized spinning from Keaton Jones in the 17, Ryan Turcott in the 21. They are both going to be out of this event. Hard impact to the outside wall. And so it remains Indy Kirkenbauer in the lead, Peyton Lindsay, and we'll go ahead and show everybody. Let's get a close-up of these drivers. You've got Indy Kirkenbauer in the lead. Peyton Lindsay is second, and there's Peyton Lindsay's machine. Dave Mitchell, now there's a familiar name in the track racer Moza car. There he is in third. Max Kaiser is fourth. And James Allen will round out the top five. In sixth, you've got Alex Kim. And there's Alex. Rob Collier is seventh. Thomas Strage is eighth. It's worth noting, Thomas is the number one machine in this race. 48-10 oval I rating. How about that? Dylan Wilzinski is ninth, and Alexander Stroker rounds out your top 10 as we head back to the front of the field. Pace car is going to turn the lights out this time. Jacob, if we get this thing going, you were saying that these cars can use multiple lanes here. Is this like a short track and that you've got a lift, or in these cars is it more like the F2000 Pro car where it's just a flat-out super speedway?
So you can flat-foot it through the corner. Obviously, when you've got multiple cars around you, that becomes a bit more difficult to do. At least in the running we had done during Week 13, you were basically able to run 3 distinct lanes depending on how you entered the corner, and you could kind of make defensive lines work as the leader. So you had options in terms of where you wanted to run in clean air to try to keep those cars behind you. So a lot of options, but they really only tend to generate after a couple laps once the cars start getting moving and the tires warmed up.
Absolutely. Do want to thank everybody for tuning it in. We are watching bonus coverage of the Indy Next Oval Series. This is the inaugural race in the Indy Next Oval Series here in iRacing. The Indy Open Series did not generate for us this evening due to the system maintenance and the new build. And so we decided to go live. We showed you a little bit of the second split from the big cars from Fontana, and now we're going to have a look at the Indy Next car from Iowa. It's Indy Kirkenbauer leading away from Payson Lindsay and Dave Mitchell. We're going to take a look at We're going to take a look at 7th, 8th, and 9th. That's Thomas Strage in the number 1. Rob Collier is in the 6th, and Dylan Wolozinski, he is moving toward the front. Dylan is on the top, and he has gone around. Well, he was on the bottom rather. That is Rob Collier on the bottom, and now Collier is taking a look at. Collier was taking a look at Strage. Thomas Strage drove around James Allen there. So we've got a huge fight here back in the middle of the top 10, Jacob.
Yeah,
we've also got a battle for the lead. Peyton Lindsay takes it to the bottom side, and he is going to go around. He's going to go around Indy Kirkenbauer. Kirkenbauer is going to fight right back down into turn 1, move Indy Kirkenbauer back to the lead. Peyton Lindsay is going to go second. I was going to ask you, Jacob, do these cars draft? And if so, since you can kind of flat-foot it here, is the draft a thing?
Yeah, the draft's a big factor here, and that's part of why the 3 lanes kind of form up, is if you can kind of follow cars at different points, you'll see a lot of these guys aim to the high side to get that extra momentum. If you've got a car maybe half a second in front of you, you can use them as a pull down the straightaways depending on where they enter and exit the corners. So it's a lot of a game of that classic chase where you can kind of put your car in position to take advantage of the cars ahead of you, even more so than I think the full-size IR18 does.
Very much so. These cars are smaller, and you can tell visually that with them being smaller, they can make some moves that we're not used to seeing in the big cars. Dave Mitchell, he drove his car from 4th to 2nd and just about the lead. That demoted Peyton Lindsay temporarily to 4th. Now he's back to 2nd. Indy Kirkenbauer had been racing for the lead, had been temporarily moved to 2nd by Peyton Lindsay. Lindsay, though, continues to race hard on that bottom. He has gone by Indy once. Let's see if he can do it again. And in the 5th spot, Thomas Strage, he wants up there. We're going to go 3 wide for 3rd, Jacob. Apron bad.
Yes, the apron is very bad, but to get that bottom line to wrap, you need to arc it really, really deep and down. You'll see Indy's basically wrapping that white line through the corners and maximizing the exit speed by not scrubbing super far out. You don't need to take this car quite as far out to the wall as you do in the IR18 to get its maximum speed, and you're seeing that on full display with Indy here at the front of the field.
Yes, he is. Very tight line for Indy Kirkenbauer. The racing behind him, though, is absolutely furious. Peyton Lindsay, Thomas Straits, Dave Mitchell, Max Kaiser, Alex Kibnow is standing by to join this fight. Those cars are all right on top of each other, and it looks like Indy is able to lead Jacob, but it doesn't really look like he's able to get away.
No, and that's part of that draft, being able to keep the rest of those cars in contention. It is theoretically possible to break the draft in these things. However, you need quite a bit of help from behind to do so. If you get maybe 2 or 3 cars racing side by side consistently behind you, they will start to fall back due to kind of the side drafting and slowing of each other up. Just that little bit being side by side, as we see the 5 car nearly getting to the wall there.
Yeah, he did. Thomas Schrage is working the high line. He is going to go around Payson Lindsay, and Thomas Schrage has come to the front. That number 1 car, we were watching him earlier battle around the 8th spot. Thomas Schrage started 17th. He is now 2nd. So who says you can't pass in an Indy Lights car, Jacob?
I think that passing will certainly not be at a premium on these more heavily banked short ovals. I'll be curious to see as the season progresses. We are going to a number of 1.5 miles, so that may be kind of where we see traditional full-on pack style racing where passing may be at more of a premium, but that draft being as strong as it is might completely wash out that whole pack racing thought. Absolutely
so. Do want to thank everybody for tuning us in. If you haven't already discovered, this is not the IndyCar race from Long Beach as advertised. Sometimes with the new build in week 13, the first sessions of the week do not create, and so they do not launch. And so rather than put the broadcast away, Jacob and I showed a little bit of the second split of the Indy Oval Series from Fontana. This is the inaugural top split race this is the top split of the Indy Lights Oval Series. Jacob Collins is going to have the top splits of this series Monday and Tuesday, immediately following the Indy Oval or Indy Open and Indy Oval IndyCar top splits. And so do want to congratulate Jacob. That's a big deal to get your own broadcast, brother, and we definitely think that's a huge deal for you. Thomas Schrage has gone to the lead. Max Kaiser is now 2nd. Payson Lindsay 3rd. Indy Kirkenbauer has gone back to the 4th, but he is looking down to the inside of Payson Lindsay. Jacob, you were saying that you recognize some of the names in this field. Talk about some of the drivers that you may recognize from your Road to Indy days as the community leader, but may not be familiar to the people here on P1.
Yeah, so we've got guys like James A. Allen, who's run USF 2000 a good bit. I know he's been really big since they introduced the Junior Open Wheel Oval Challenge Series that utilizes the Indy Pro 2000, kind of the middle rung, if you will, of the Road to Indy now, as they have a USF Juniors car that's kind of below the current USF 2000 we have in the service. And then we've got a guy like Rod Eskew. Rod might be towards the back of the field, but that's not normally what you'd see in an Indy Pro 2000 strength and field race. Rod's the guy typically running near the front, especially on the road courses, so it's good to see him out here in the Iowa cornfields having himself a time as well.
Yeah, there's Rod Askew. We did want to show James Allen as well. There's James. He runs along in the 10th spot. But it's good to see those drivers that, to be fair, their car is, they may have been USF 2000 Pro guys, USF 2000 guys. Their car has kind of gone away, and this is the replacement for that machine, and it's good to see them. It's good to see them adopt the new car, Jacob.
Yeah, it'll be good to see, especially if iRacing's word is to be believed, that we'll see maybe a NXT or Indy Next IIS sort of series where we get a full distance race each week for the corresponding real world series.
Yeah, and I think that would be absolutely awesome. I'm looking forward to running. As I said, I'm gonna drive both these series. time permitting, of course. If the Indy Oval Series runs long, I won't be able to make the lights race, but you know, I'm gonna try to race both. I'm gonna try to race both Oval Series, and I know that some of our cohorts are looking at doing that as well.
Yeah, it's kind of the perfect middleman to kind of bridge the gap between the IndyCar and guys who maybe have a struggle on it, especially on road courses where, you know, there's a lot of things you got to keep in the back of your head at all times. This car's a bit more manageable, although still has a lot of the same driving and handling characteristics that the IndyCar does, and includes push to pass, which is a kind of a tool you have to get used to being able to use and use effectively throughout a road course race. The nice thing I am seeing here, though, is, you know, we talk about how cars, especially on the IndyCar side of things, kind of start to string out a bit due to the dirty air, especially on these shorter ovals. We're not really seeing that here. You know, we've got still 4 or 5 cars all within about a second of each other here at the front of the field that are all racing for position still.
Yeah, Thomas Schrage leads it. Max Kaiser is looking to his outside, and then you've got row 2, Rob Collier on the bottom, Indy Kirkenbauer on the top, and then Payson Lindsay has been in this top 5 mix for most of the event. We're working lap 39 of 65 here in the inaugural Indy Next Oval Series. This is bonus coverage. The Indy Open top split. The session did not launch due to the new build, and so Jacob and I have decided to go live. We're kind of giving you a preview of coming attractions. The top split for this series, and this is a brand new car in the service, is going to happen at what time tomorrow, Jacob?
It'll be 9:30 p.m. for the Oval Series tomorrow night.
9:30 p.m. for the Oval Series for the Indy Next cars. And that'll be live right here on P1 Broadcasting. Jacob Collins is going to be on the call. Let's take a look back a little bit deeper in the field. That's David Mitchell. Dave is a well-known IndyCar shoe. He is currently running in 6th spot. Alex Kim, and there's Alex. Now that is a familiar paint scheme. The Red Bull colors for Alex Kim. He runs along in 7th. So there's Alex. Dylan Wolzinski in the Sim Magic colors is 8th. Alex Stroker is 9th. And James Allen, one of the drivers that you mentioned as familiar on the road to Indy, as familiar in the road to Indy circles, he runs along in 10th. Go ahead, Jacob. I'm sorry.
I want to say that there was somebody trying to set a timer as how long it took for this car to have a Red Bull livery. It was 15 minutes from the car's release to Trading Paints having a Red Bull livery on the car.
Very good. Do want to continue to just give everybody their due in this inaugural race. That is Alex Krasper. He is the number 2 car. He is run along in 11th, and he is more or less by himself. Dustin Hardy is 12th in the number 22. Nick Neven, familiar and popular streamer, is in 13th in the number 8. You've got Tyler Dixon, 14th. There's Tyler. Ray Farlow is 15th. Andrew Schwartz, 16th. Immediately followed by Jeremy McGorry. And that's a battle, McGorry and Schwartz there. McGorry all over the back end of Andrew Schwartz. Zach Levitt in the 14th is 18th. Paul Brumershine, a familiar name. We'll see him in IndyCar top splits occasionally. He runs along in 19th. Rod Askew is 20th, and Rod Askew is going a lap down. Keaton Jones, Ryan Turcott, Raphael Eckert, David Hinger are all out of the race. Speaking of the race, it's at the front. That is Thomas Schrage, your leader. Max Kaiser, 2nd. Indy Kirkenbauer, 3rd. Rob Collier and Dave Mitchell round out your top 5. Indy is back on the high side, Jacob.
Yeah, that high side will work to your advantage, especially multiple cars deep. As you'll see, you know, you've got cars running maybe the proper low lane in front of him. He's able to roll a bit more speed in that second lane, catch their draft on the exit, and pull down the straights. It's kind of keeping him constantly pulling towards those cars ahead of him while keeping that 6 machine of Collier behind him.
Yes, he is. Do want to welcome Ohei to the chat. She's let us know that there's only about 6 days of paints available, and that's true. And I know from my painter in specific, they're having a hard time getting the contingency decal package for this car, and so my car is simply not finished yet. Because some of the stuff that you need to make them technically legal, right, Jacob, just isn't available yet.
Yeah, Seb Alexander was. Oh,
Caution.
we got a yellow.
That is Rod Askew hard into the turn 4 wall. No doubt about where he crashed, and so we need to go back and figure out what's happened. This will set up about a 10-lap shootout, but it's Rod Askew, and there's contact between Askew and the number 2, that is Alex Crasper. Crasper keeps it straight. Askew does not. Massive impact for Rod Askew.
Yeah,
and this is what that looks like, by the way, from the roll hoop. There is no aero screen here, so these cars have the halo, but no aero screen. So just in case you were wondering, there's no glass there in an Indy Lights machine. And there's the contact. Around she goes, and boom. And there's Rod. He's trying to limp it back to the pit lane. Thomas Schrage is coming to the pit road. Thomas Schrage is coming to pit lane, Jacob.
I'm wondering if he thinks that there's something to be had for tires here. If he takes a number of cars with him.
There are a number of cars. Now let's see if he goes up on the jack. The car goes up, Jacob. Which is
and we do see a number of cars peel in. This will be interesting to see if he's able to do anything in this kind of 10-lap sprint to the finish here on new tires.
Okay, and so we do have cars that did pit. We have a number of cars that stayed out. Max Kaiser is your leader. Max did stay out, along with Indy Kirkenbauer, Dave Mitchell, Rob Collier, Payson Lindsay, Dylan Wazlinski, Alexander Stroker, James Allen. They all stayed out. Nick Neben is the first car that has pitted, although Neben has been out for 44 laps. So he has somewhat newer tires, but they are not new. He stopped under the first caution. Ray Farlow is 10th. He did not stop. The first car that stopped, Thomas Schrage, and then Alex Kim, Alex Crasper, Tyler Dixon, Dustin Hardy, Jeremy McGorry, Andrew Schwartz, Zach Levitt, Paul Boomershine. They all have new tires. Rod Askew is out of this race with the meatball. And no, Maestro, it has not been a pack race. This has been pretty interesting. We've got a split strategy. We have cars that came in, and we're not even sure. This is the inaugural race, Jacob. We're not even sure if there are tires available. So we'll have to dope that out, obviously. But we're not even sure if there are tires available in there, are we?
Well, I'd have to assume if they went up on jacks that they'd have to have taken tires, right? What else would they have gone on the jacks for?
It could have just been an animation. Like, for example, we know that the car has Super Speedway Aero, or it has Speedway Aero, but it doesn't have the actual Speedway visuals, right? So there are some things about the car that are a little incomplete, aren't there?
Well, we're not supposed to talk about that, Mark. They might take that away from us.
This car does the car does have Super Speedway performance, but the aero package isn't yet visually available, and so that's kind of interesting. It is a beautiful car, though, and it is. I have to say, Jacob, this car is much more IndyCar-like than the original Indy Lights car that came out way back when in the early 2000s and was raced up through 2014.
Yeah, and that's probably what the big impetus for this chassis was to get it maybe a bit closer to the modern IndyCar. Obviously, since the early days of this series, the series of IndyCar itself has changed just so much. They're running, less ovals and more road courses now. So this car needed to be designed to reflect kind of the change in the series, and that's how we got to where we are with the IL-15 here.
Yes, indeed. Speaking of the IL-15, we've got 9 laps. Well, we're going to have...
Green flag.
We're going to have a green flag, and we're going to have 9 laps to decide it. Max Kaiser is your leader. Indy Kirkenbauer is second. Dave Mitchell is third. Rob Collier, Payson Lindsay round out the top 5. And Jacob, does Indy have anything? Does Indy have anything left in the tank? And how long is it going to take Thomas Schrage to get back toward the front? Caution on the speedway. Caution. There is a hard crash. That is the 11 of Ray Farlow. I can see the 16 of Jeremy McGrory. Dustin Hardy is available. Multiple vehicles, Alex Crasper. Multiple vehicles involved in a hard crash here with 8 laps to go. And let's see what we've got. But no, Maestro, well, really, it hasn't. As long as the tires get some heat in them, we saw him string out. This is going to start with Ray Farlow, I believe, Jacob.
Yeah, he gets up into the wall after making contact with the 23 car, who kind of fades up into him, and then there's a huge pile up behind them with the 2 and the 22. It looks like that's the same thing that happened earlier on in the race with those cars on new tires. They got caught out, I think, on the cold tires early in this stint here and looped it the exact same way. And the 16 machine of who is this? That 16 machine, nowhere to go, straight into the wall, all 3 of them.
Yeah, that's Jeremy McGrory. We're gonna go ahead. There's the first contact, and there you go. 2 cars synchronized spinning one more time. Jeremy McGrory had nowhere, and we mean nowhere to go. This has been a pretty interesting race, Jacob, from the standpoint of how the cars handle, and that is a very IndyCar-like trait, where the cars get very, very loose where the cars get very, very loose on cold tires. They're very difficult, and there you go. That's what that looks like. Up into the wall we go with Jeremy McGrory, and he is an early pedestrian here at Iowa. We'll get back up toward the front. We're going to have a restart with, 5 laps to decide it, Jacob?
I believe it'll be at least a couple. We've still got the lights on the pace car right now, so it might be 4 or 3 laps to decide this one. And if we get a quick yellow, that'll probably end the race, as I don't believe that we don't have any wacky overtime rules in this like the IndyCar. Well, we don't have them like the IndyCar does as well, right?
Right. IndyCar doesn't have them. This isn't NASCAR, right? There is no overtime. Max Kaiser is your leader. Indy Kirkenbauer second. Dave Mitchell third. This is the inaugural race for the Indy Next Oval Series. We are at bonus coverage for this because the session for Long Beach did not create. As a reminder, P1 Broadcasting will bring you the Euro SOF, as it's known, which is 2 o'clock Eastern Standard on Saturday. And so I'll be happy to bring you that race. We are going to show the end of this one. And then Jacob has to get ready for his first broadcast. What time, Jacob?
10 p.m. Eastern, Laguna Seca.
10 p.m. Eastern at Laguna Seca. I am actually going to attempt to drive in that. Is Clendy going to run in that as well?
I think Clendy has a hiatus put on this car until they fix the damage model, was his complaints.
So he has complained. I was looking forward to Clendy driving this. I'm going to lay down the challenge. I was looking forward to Clendy driving this car, racing this car, Jacob, because I think that Clendy and I, two guys who are Clendy's a noted oval racer and a really good one. I'm noted for being really old and slow. But Clendy and I are both noted for being really awful road racers. And so he and I could compete for a P1 Toilet Bowl trophy, see who could be the best worst road racer in an Indy Lights car. I think that would be terrific, especially given that he and I have just about the same road I rating.
Well, we've got an oval race to finish here first that I'd like to see the green finish of, hopefully.
I would love to see it too. I got to see if Indy Kirkenbauer can make the move past Max Kaiser and win this race. The dominant car early was that number 12, was that number 4 machine. Indy was all over him when the last yellow flew. Kaiser leads away. Can Kirkenbauer get there? Is there enough left in the tank for Indy? Coming to the line, we're going to get 3 to go. Yellow on the speedway, and that's going to end it. Hard in the wall, that is James Allen and Zach Levitt. Turn 4, Allen and Levitt have come together, and that is going to end this race. James Allen just lost it there on the high side. Zach Levitt I think he made the cardinal mistake, Jacob. You don't ever hit the brakes in the middle of a high-speed oval corner. And Zach Levitt did that, and it kind of turned him in the wall. Both of those cars heavily damaged, and that is going to mean that Max Kaiser is going to take the checkered flag here under the yellow light.
I think Levitt got loose on the bottom. Yeah, you see him start to maybe lift out of the throttle and then get loose and slide up. I don't know if he hits the brakes. He might, but it's an unfortunate break for both James and Zach there late in this running.
Yes, it most certainly is. And so there's your leader behind the safety car. That is going to be Max Kaiser. He will win it, barring catastrophe. Indy Kirkenbauer is going to be second, and Dave Mitchell will be a fine third. Do want to point out that Thomas Schrage came in for those new tires. He was only able to make it up to 7th spot, Jacob.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a bit of not having the time to make the tires come up to temp as well, right? Maybe if this race had gone green after that yellow he came down for tires, he might have been able to slice through a couple more cars. But as we saw with a lot of cars throughout this race, cold tires, especially on the higher lanes of the track, are very, very difficult to hold on to. Pretty much every car that we saw lose it in this race was early on in the stint on cold tires, just getting loose. And once the car gets loose, there is no saving it. It doesn't seem to respond the same way the IR18 does, where you can get it a little bit loose and catch it. This thing is snap death from the get-go, and you are in the wall.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of what the IndyCar used to be. Which is I used to tell people, in that car you're fine until you're not. That would seem to me to be kind of what this is what you're describing, Jacob. At any rate, Max Kaiser has mastered the first oval. Indy Kirkenbauer second, Dave Mitchell third, Rob Collier fourth, Peyton Lindsay is fifth, Dylan Wozlinski is sixth, Thomas Schrade seventh, Nick Neiman, Tyler Dixon, Andrew Schwartz going to round out your top 10. Paul Boomershine, Alex Kim, James Allen, Zach Levitt, Alexander Stoker, Jeremy McGorry, and Ray Farlow are going to be your final finishers as they come off of turn number 4 with the checkered flag in sight. Jacob, that is the first of what is hopefully many Indy Lights races here on P1 Broadcasting.
I don't know what about Indy Lights is, but this Indy Next stuff that Penske's been putting out, that's some good stuff.
Very, very good. We do want to thank everybody for joining us. This has been bonus coverage of the Indy Next Series Oval Fixed live from the Iowa Speedway. If you haven't already done so, if you're just stumbling into this for the first time, make sure you smash the like button on the video, ring the bell, subscribe to the channel so you can be notified of all future P1 Broadcasting events. Right now, on the second stream, Gary Godso has the Onyx Racing League Lotus 79s from Homestead, and at 10 o'clock, Jacob Collins is going to be right back here with the Indy Next Road Series from Laguna Seca at 10. Tomorrow night, we've got the Indy Oval Series Fixed Top Split broadcast. That is the flagship on P1 815 from Fontana. And then, Jacob, you're going to be right back here at 9:30, right?
Yes, sir.
9:30 tomorrow night for the Indy Next Oval Fixed Top Split. Jacob Collins is going to be on the broadcast of that one. Wednesday night, we're going to have dueling streams, Jacob. Won't that be fun? We're going to have dueling streams on Wednesday. The Horizon IndyCar Series is going to go live at 8. Same time, same channel. The Formula Indy Series is back at the Nürburgring. How much fun is that, Jacob?
The Nürburgring GP track at that. That'll be fantastic.
That is going to be awesome. We are off Thursday. Friday night, it'll be Sam Crow and I with the AMA Archway Industrial Coatings Truck Series. And then Saturday, I will come back. The session is not created yet, or the thumbs are not created yet. I'll do that at some point this week. But Saturday, I will come back and have the Indy Open European Strength of Field time slot at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Saturday, 2 o'clock, we'll bring you the Indy Open Series. On Sunday night, we've got the Dark Horse DW12 Series. That is presented by The Joy of Driving. That is from New Hampshire. For everybody at P1 Broadcasting, myself, Mark Murphy, Jacob Collins, the founder, Gary Godso, we want to thank everybody that makes this possible, the competitors, our friends at Whiplash Simcams, but also the people that really make it possible. The first responders, the military, the police, the firemen, the EMTs that drive the ambulance, Jacob, and the nurse that unloads you when you get there. God bless you all, and we thank you. Everybody have a good night, and we will see you tomorrow. Or later. Or whenever we see you.